Hey gamers! We are in 2025, the grand year where Pacific Rim takes place, and so far we haven't had a huge disaster yet, right? Huh? Let's start this year by talking about last year's literary chat game, Mouthwashing. This game is made by Ron Organ and published by Critical Reflex. This game has such greatly written characters, including one I hate a lot. This is the one game that has blown up my Twitter, my Blue Sky, my Reels, and my TikTok. But is it worth the hype? And the answer is yes. Yes, it is. I highly recommend playing the game first. So here's your warning to play it and come back, or do what most people do and just stay. But before we do, let's hear a word from our amazing sponsor. Stop right there! Let me tell you something cool. Do you hate your plain shaker cups? They're just boring. No husbandos, no waifus, no anything on them. And you want some cool gear? Let me tell you about today's sponsor, Waifu Wear. So with Waifu Wears, we have a bunch of things here. We got shaker cups, stickers, t-shirts, hoodies, standees, keychains, and decks and mouse mats. If you use code NUDIE, you get 15% off with any order. So literally go to the link below or use my code at checkout. And back to the video. This game is the embodiment of the term cabin fever. Cabin fever is a feeling of distress and isolation that can occur when someone is confined to their home or unable to have social interaction. And that, to me, is one of many themes happening in this game, and the characters we meet are all special in so many ways in that aspect, except Jimmy. Fuck Jim. Let's talk about these amazing characters the best we can. Let's start with who or what is Pony Express? Basically, they are this in-universe, somehow shittier version of Amazon and Disney if they had a love child. They are the only company who still uses people during the time of automation, and is why they are going bankrupt with all the violations.
Hell no, man. What the
Adding the fifth crew member to the Tulpar without accounting for the lack of resources and determine only allows the captain's access to persons saving some
Wow, look at these crimes. Huh. No way something like this can happen IRL, right? They do have a lovable mascot named Polly, so all should be fine. They give the most lovable quotes ever, like...
Polly says, "Another day in paradise! Yay!"
Sadly, that is all we know about our totally legit business, Pony Express. So let's talk about the crew now, finally. Let's talk about the lovable intern, Daisuke. He is honestly the most cheerful and optimistic of all the crew. And he's my favorite of the crew. But he reminds me of Yosuke and Ryoji if all the AO3 fanfics became true. When the ship crashed, yes, it crashes. When that happens, he keeps up his attitude except when he had a slip of character when drinking, but asks Jimmy to take it away. One incident of him wanting to be helpful is expressing concern with Anya when she locks herself in the med bay, and him being so naive, Jimmy used that to convince him to go into a vent that has collapsed, by the way. But nah, it is totally safe to go in there and get gravely injured to the point Swansea put him down out of mercy. So now let's talk about the man himself, Swansea. He is the main mechanic of the tumbler who conquered his inner demon, known as being an alcoholic, till the crash where he and everyone discovers the cargo, which they thought might have been food and water, is full of, you guessed it, mouthwash. Anya said this stuff is useless with its sugar content. Swansea took it and saw that it has 14% ethanol, so forget that, 50-year-old sobriety streak, but in the face of death to him, does it even matter? Right now, he may seem to be a very selfish guy with him drinking so much, but he is caring for his crew. After a month of the crash, Swansea was hearing out Anya about what we all believe that Jimmy did to Anya, which we will talk more about when we get to her. So another month passed and Anya locked herself in the medbay to commit suicide. The only way to get to her is to go to the utilities since a vent can lead to it, but Swansea, who is drunk, is guarding the door and is saying no to Daisuke and Jimmy. Jimmy, being Jimmy, decided to drug Swansea, by the way, to get in, which worked. And with Daisuke's story, we know what happened with that and how Swansea was so devastated with having to put down Daisuke, but Jimmy is the one mad at him. Sometime later, Swansea is charging at Jimmy with an axe with the intent to kill him. He chased Jimmy into the cockpit and Jimmy knocked him out with a broken pipe. Once Jimmy got Swansea tied up, and well, let me show you what was said.
I have something to say, so shut the fuck up and listen. I spent 13 years half cut up to my eyeballs, drunk, to put it mildly. Then suddenly, I saw it. A street light shining in my face. 500 gigawatts of the power of God. A vision of my bloated body found in some ditch. Scared me straight. So I got a collar shirt, mortgage, and a credit card. All the things that make a good man. I hoped I could raise my children to be better than their old man. I wanted to believe I was never one setback away from my worst self. But the truth is, discipline, drive, routine, the endless fucking desperation to get shit done, a loving wife, great kids, sobriety. I'm telling you, accomplishments I'd been chasing all my life. Never felt as good as I expected when I crossed the finish line. So now that we're at the end, taking inventory. Those nights spinning out of my head, sinking into the sofa, broken glass in my palms, bleeding dry, the funniest thing ever. Old dogs laughing and snarling on a waterbed floor, mocking the moon for daring to show its face. All nausea and wreckage and vomit and ugly cruelty. The only problem in the world, an empty bottle. Those were the best days of my life. Yeah, those were the best days of my life. I got nothing to hide, ready to face the music. I can see myself for what I am. But you? A cowardly, selfish motherfucker, and you can't even see it. I should have been able to protect the kid. If I could have done one thing right, I wish it had been to give him one small chance off this goddamn rock.
Swansea, I'm going to fix everything. We're going to make it.
Fuck you.
Yep, that is how Swansea went out. Let's talk about the one and only nurse, Anya, which is my second favorite. Not much to go off of her past we know of, but she failed medical school 8 times. It shows how determined she is because her overall personality is kind, intelligent, and determined until Jimmy did sexually assault her. Sadly, her personality after that started to slowly go downhill by becoming reserved and easily nervous, mainly talking to Swansea, and later revealed she was pregnant. And all this before the crash? So what happened with her after the crash? Well, her mental state was beyond gone because Jimmy made himself captain. Imagine the person who did that to you is now in charge of everyone. Throughout her time, she will have breakdowns and isolate herself a lot, including the famous time that she lost it and locked herself in the medical bay and took a lot of pills to be done with her pain in the world. Let's talk about our true Captain Curly. What the fuck is that? So let's discuss him, which isn't much. For his work position, all we know is from Jimmy of all people, he is the top rung of the ladder, and he is promising and very ambitious, but deep down, he's a pushover for Jimmy. Over the course of the game, he questions if he has chosen the wrong career path, which is honestly the realest thing I heard, but everyone calls him a good captain. But when it comes to Jimmy, he is so fucking conflicted, which leads him to overlooking the conflicts like assaulting Anya and literally crashing the fucking ship. Out of all the crew members, he does live even though he looks like this, being kept alive by the crew, and at the end, Jimmy putting him in cryo for 20 years for anyone to find him. Now the character you have been waiting to hear me talk about, the shithead of the hour, and the person you mainly play as, Jimmy. Jimmy was a shit person before even being on the ship. He barely has any guilt for his action. He acts bitter, spiteful, passive-aggressive, and manipulative to everyone on the ship. When Curly made him co-pilot with him struggling on Earth, he felt his life was out of his control, and instead of feeling appreciative, a friend is wanting to help, he feels envious towards his one friend. He wants to feel control, but sadly, he did Anya to have some type of power, which backfired on him because he later heard Anya was pregnant, and on top of losing his job, he panicked because he was losing control. So in his mind, to have control back, he turned off the autopilot to crash the ship in a murder-suicide. Curly realized what Jimmy did and tried to stop the crash, but failed and got injured beyond belief. With Curly being in the state that he is, Jimmy declared himself as the new captain and shifting blame on Curly since he was the one in the room. During these months after the crash, he tries to fix his mistakes while giving Curly his painkillers. With him being in charge, the tension was high and sadly led to Anya's manipulate Daisuke, which led to his several injuries, which led Swansea to killing him, and later killing Swansea after he tried to kill Jimmy. All of that, and he still shows little remorse, like fuck Jimmy. Later on, Jimmy brought all the dead bodies of the crew to a table to have a mock birthday and carved off Curly's leg like it is cake and serving it to everyone. He even ate it and force-fed it to Curly himself. What the fuck? And in some twisted fate or madness in his head, he placed Curly in a cryopod and saying he fixed it and then walked away and shot himself, leaving Curly alone, frozen for 20 years, for someone to possibly find him? What a time, gamers. Seeing the descent into how all these characters started and how they all tragically ended, besides Jimmy. This game delves into so much like trauma, inner demons, SA, and the effects of cabin fever. That is all my interpretation. I see why everyone is praising this game so much. There is so much to unravel in a 2 to 3 hour journey, and the story is complex, but I love knowing these characters and their stories, but sadly, some we don't get to know much about. But luckily, it is enough for me to want more. I hope y'all like this new style, and let me know if you want more videos like this. Like, comment, and share. That is greatly appreciated. And down below, let me know what you like about the game, your favorite part, or your favorite character. Thank you so much, and see you next time. Enjoy!